Hey guys, this is Financial Fitness, and I've got a two-part series coming up from the Silver Symposium where I got to interview David Morgan and Nathan with the Independence Money Show. Now, Nathan is a forward-thinking tax dude. He's not a CPA that does taxes at the end of the year. He's the guy in front of all the CPAs that work for him, and he is looking to the future of Bitcoin, all this stuff that's coming. We live in the Thunderdome now, so it's different, and he understands the precious metals. I really want you to subscribe to his channel, The Independence Money Show. I'll put it in the link in the description below. Now, David Morgan is the Morgan Report. He gave me this book himself, The Silver Manifesto. And he's like the Babe Ruth of silver. He's the Michael Jordan of silver. He is the silver guru. I really respect this guy, and he is a kind man. I mean, he is exactly what you think he is. I mean, he's just that kind of super cool guy. Hey, I wanted to invite you to the Red Pill Expo. See, I just got done at the Silver Symposium, and I made a ton of new friends, a group of like-minded people that I get to network with and learn from. That's what's going to be at the Red Pill. Now, we're going to be talking about some things a little bit heavier than silver. This is going to be a ton of like-minded people that get together and network and talk about real things that we cannot talk about here. I hope to see you there November 6th through the 7th in Lafayette, Louisiana. I'll leave a affiliate link in the description below. Thanks, guys.
So, David, you mentioned silver's at an all-time low, and just basic common sense, buy low, sell high. The stock market, the real estate, everything's at an all-time high. If silver, and I'm going to ask you what you think silver could hit in the midterm, but if silver runs up, one of the strategies that somebody could deploy is you can, under certain rules and regulations, buy precious metals inside of a Roth IRA, which is tax-free. There's certain rules and regulations, so work with an expert on that, but that could be a way to protect from the taxation of a high capital gain if silver hits a higher price. So can you speak a little bit on what current price of physical silver is versus what it could be if there was another 08 type banking crisis?
Sure. It's all guesswork. But first of all, it's almost a backwards question, and I'm not picking on you, Nathan, because that's this question everyone asks. Right? Well, what's the price of silver? But, the real reality is that the ounce of silver doesn't change whatsoever at all. So what really happens is how much devaluation in the dollar is there. And how much is it? Well, they usually go to zero. So how does that put the silver price? Infinity. But, of course, we know it's not going to be that. What we do know is that it'll be priced higher because of devaluation, and some of that devaluation consciousness moves into the silver market. And the silver market is so small that if Chris got 0.1% of his followers that are just people out there with good hearts, making a decent living, doing the right thing, which is what made this country so good, to come on board, it would have an effect. It is not 50% of the population kind of thing. Right. It's like 1% of everybody that knows who you are and tells 3 people, game over. It's that simple. I mean, I did a film one time called Missing the Silver Market, and I said one of my pet peeves is the coin dealer community, the bullion dealers, and they will all tell you everybody should own a little. And I agree, everyone should own a little gold and silver. And I said, well, how much is a little? I said, well, that's a nebulous term, but I'd say 2 ounces, a little bit of silver. Because 2 ounces of silver, even at $100 an ounce, isn't going to make you rich. Even at $1,000 an ounce, isn't going to make you rich. It may make you happy, but a little bit of silver. So I said, well, if everybody in the United States owned a little bit of silver at 2 ounces, that's 350 million, 320 million times 2 is basically the whole mining industry of the planet in 1 year. So if everybody in the United States owned a little, you'd wipe out the silver market every year.
It'd be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
You'd make it.
So not everyone can own a little, because the U.S. is 5% of the world's population.
1.2 billion. Did I read that right on your chart, on your thing you showed? That's how much is on the earth? It's 1.2.
No, what that shows is that would be paying a day's wages in silver would be 1.2 billion ounces. And the number varies, and even Jeff's numbers change, and they do change because of mining and, putting silver in the refrigerators. But I would say silver, and when I say silver, I mean the COMEX grade bars, which is the paper market backed by some physical, is probably around 2 billion ounces. It could be 4. No one really knows. I don't think Jeff knows, but they'll tell you there's 16 billion or 19 billion. But what they're counting is silver jewelry, silver artwork, silver, that's in unobtainable forms, like I don't know, like a membrane switch on your microwave. Okay, that's got silver, but it's so small. When you go sell, junk your microwave, you can throw it in the landfill. You don't cut off and take that little membrane switch off. You could, and you could give it to a metals dealer. Not anyone. It'd be a specific one you'd have to seek out. And I'll give you 12 cents for it, and sell it for 30 cents. But you're not going to spend the gas. You're not going to take $4 worth of gas to make 30 cents, right? So, but they count some of that silver. In fact, I'll stop there.
You mentioned that an ounce of silver is always worth an ounce of silver. It's in relation to the devaluation of the currency. I heard that in Venezuela they have printed so much of their currency that 1 ounce of silver could feed a family for a month, and it's still just 1 ounce of silver. So to me, that's like there's no counterparty risk, right? We're not depending on a government to set the price of the physical, or we're not trying to get an investment to get ahead of the devaluation, more or less.
The main thing with silver, especially, and gold to some degree, in my opinion, is that most people that catch on to the scam and want to protect themselves that buy it and hoard it. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but the way to make silver valuable is to have it as money. I've proven throughout the ages that the only way to see silver worth 100, 200, 600 bucks per ounce in value in today's dollars is to use it as money. But no one uses it as money, and that's where this digital form of silver, I think, will become more important as time marches on, because people will transact. For an example, with the Load project I'm affiliated with, I will sell my newsletter for $400 in silver instead of $500 in fiat. That's a 20% discount. It's a pretty healthy discount. And that takes care of any fees you pay, because a dealer gets a fee. He can't be in business unless he marks up physical silver.
So let me stop it. The Load project. So this is a cryptocurrency that's backed by physical silver.
And gold both, yes.
And gold both. So that's what gives Bitcoin its value.
Yeah, Chris, I want to take the word of crypto out of it. It's tokenized, because the physical is there. You're just allowing a digital token to be able to do quick commerce. If you look at it, the money in your bank account is tokenized dollars compared to physical
with
dollars.
An account number. So basically you're getting an account number for how much silver you've got.
Well, see, that makes a lot of sense. That's going to turn a lot of people towards this token stuff. Because I'm telling you, when I tell people, because I'm into crypto, I mean, I can't explain it. I don't plan on ever explaining it. I'm not going to tell you how the internet works. I don't tell you how this phone works. I mean, I just know,
Sure.
But it makes sense, but the older people are not wanting to hear it. When I tell them about it, it's immediately, I don't want to know. But if it was backed by something physical, now that's something that might go.
Well, speaking of generations, the older generation is still buying metals. The younger generation are buying cryptos. But when the younger generation figures out that there's basically a tokenized metal where they don't have to have it in their apartment with their 4 roommates, but they can still protect the erosion of the dollar, I think that will explode the market. Do you think if, we talked about the physical and the limits there, do you think if the tokenized market caught on with the millennials, that would break the market free from manipulation?
I think it will. I don't know if it's inevitable, and I'm biased, but that's the next step. Because, as you said, if you got 4 roommates or whatever, and everyone brags about Bitcoin. You could take, $20 million across the border and nobody knows. Well, with digitized silver and gold, you do the same thing. And so you could, let's just use an example that's more known. Let's say that you're in a island somewhere and there's severe tyranny going on, and you're going to leave that island and come to a different country to live the rest of your life with your family. And you have done well, you've owned a business, you've served others, and you've been rewarded for it. You don't trust the currency, you don't trust anything about it. So let's say that you take the current currency de jure of that island and convert it to gold and do it in a tokenized method. Hop onto your private jet, fly to another country, land it, and never come back. Now when you get to your location, you could untokenize it, put it back in the physical form, stick it into your banker buddy that lives in your new country. So there's a lot of flexibility there that didn't exist in the past. And your example is even better because it's more pervasive. It would be, you're a college person and you sell something on the side, you're doing really good at it, and you're quitting college because you got to do business. And you want to put something in the metal, but you got 3 guys that you trust somewhat, but they steal your food. They'll probably steal your metal too. But if you have it tokenized, you don't have to say a word about it. And yet you move out, you build your first house, everything's good. You want to convert it from a token to physical, you can.
Yeah. So David, tell us how to find more about you and your reports in the Loge project.
Sure. For the Load project, go to ag.load, LODE.1ONE. These days, you can have a URL of almost anything. So it's true. It's ag.lode.one. Watch the videos. There's one about Imagine. And it's idealistic. You guys know what I'm like or what I'm about. The idealistic part is imagine. Imagine you have control of your money. Imagine all your friends have control of your money. Imagine that we've got a future where we get to say what's valuable, and we get to trade with what's valuable, and we get to have a community of people that think like us. Imagine that. It's nice to imagine that.
And I want to encourage anybody that's watching this, if you ever get a chance to come to a meetup, you need to come because you're going to be around like-minded people that it's such a breath of fresh air to walk up to somebody and start talking about things that you've been wondering about and thinking about. Because we all have this tension on us. It's kind of, I talk to a lot of people, I poll a lot of people that just normal, average people, and they all feel it. They all feel this uneasiness. And when you come to a place like this and speak to these kind of people, it really, I don't know, it just kind of blesses you a little bit. So I appreciate you talking with me.
And for the Morgan Report, just go to my main landing page, themorganreport.com. Probably should update it, but it's still valid. Just put in a first name and an email, and it's a double opt-in, which means you'll get a autoresponder back at you. You'll say, yes, I really want this free report. You click yes, and you're on the mailing list.
Excellent.
Well, this is Nathan with the Independence Money Show, and we've got Chris
with Financial Fitness.
And we've just concluded interviewing David Morgan at the Silver Symposium in the beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, 2021.